It was actually in Nova Scotia, Canada, before I left for India. And I'd been going to the university library and listening to different musics from the world, and already very into Indian classical music. And there was one album of Ustad Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab. I remember listening to it and being so fascinated, but I really didn't, there was no way to have any information about it at that point. And it was, it had Ganjay Shakar, Mera Ganjay Shakar, and Makki Madani, Sahib Teri Bandiya, like, and I remember those kalams were so powerful. Like, what is this music? This whole group of men singing together. And 2 years later, I heard the Sabri brothers on a record also, and it just really touched me. And since my life wasn't devoted to music, I couldn't, just leave whatever I was up to and go to Pakistan and figure it out. At that point, I was able to find, more recordings and, listen to not only Nusrat Saab and the Sabri brothers. There's like Abida Parveen and other great artists from Pakistan, and really fell in love with the music and wanted to understand it more. We were in Banaras in India, and actually 2 of the members that would be in our Fanafia group were with us then. We were just doing our spiritual journeying or whatever and studying classical music. And somebody said, oh, there's a Qawwali Mehfil Sama or whatever happening tonight. And so we were all excited, and we brought our like rose petals because we heard, roses, Sufis like roses. And so we had gone there, and it was like out in a village, and it was that style of Indian Qawwali where they like speak a lot and then go into the whatever, the cheej, and then go back and then talk a lot. I was so excited to get there, and then we were checking out, and I was like, oh, this is so bad. This is really awful. Like, what's wrong with it? Because I had this association to these greats like Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan and the Sabri brothers and all that. And I was like, oh, this music is so out of tune, and the guy's really drunk, and it's like, just the vibe isn't right. And so I was really frustrated. I remember my friends stayed there, and I went back to where I was staying in Banaras, and I spent all nights and basically transliterated Allahu, writing all that and figuring out the melody. But it was my first night of like feeling, I want to learn this music. We had, gone to a few different dargahs, but mostly in India, the Qawwali wasn't very good. At some point, I was like, okay, well, maybe this was an era, after Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan Sahab passed away, Qawwali just, was never done at that level again. And so the quest continued, and Amina and I formed the group Fanafiyala together, and we had gone to Ajmer to study. And I was transliterating and learning one of the kalams of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, Dam Dam Karo Farid, the one, Haq Farid, Ya Farid. And the Gadi Nashin didn't actually understand much Punjabi. And I didn't, I was just learning that, okay, a lot of Khan Sahab's kalams are in Punjabi. And I'm like, well, what is it about? I have this deep connection to the song. I'm really into it. He's like, it's about Pak Patan. And so I asked, well, what is Pak Patan? Sounds cool. And who's this Baba? And he's like, oh, this is Baba Farid, one of the Chirag-e Chisht, one of the Sufi masters that came and brought Islam to the subcontinent. And he did this and that. And I was super fascinated with this Baba Farid character. We just kept feeling this draw. We have to go to Pak Patan. And so we did the trip from Ajmer to Pak Patan. So we got our, visas, and we actually went on a train, which was something that wasn't done at that time, like between, the Wagah border. And it was a really, really long trip. And we got to Pak Patan, and we were so like covered in dust. And there's very few people in the train, but it was a long pilgrimage. And we finally got to this little village. And it's like, that Punjabi culture there in Pakistan, it's pretty bright, and people are very kind and expressive, and like, wow, it's a different world. And I remember we're in town from the train station with our instruments, and we're like, where's where's the dargah, and people were like, oh, just that way. So we went on this long walk from the train station and checking out the culture, and people were so friendly, and there wasn't any foreigners there. It's just a small village at that time. It's even changed since then, 20 some years later. And then we started hearing like this beat, like we heard in Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's Qawwali. And like, oh, some chai wala's got some khansab playing, let's go have a chai there. So we were like following this beat, the tabla. And we get to this staircase, and it's the staircase to the dargah. So we go up the staircase following this beat, and it was the live Qawwali there at the chilla of Sabir Park that's connected, as to the whole courtyard there. And we were so amazed that we could hear this Qawwali from a mile down the street, and it like magnetized us to there. And we just threw down our luggage and started going into must, and we were just so excited and so much. It was a very celebratory Mera Piya Ghara Aaya moment for us to really arrive at the dargah and hear Qawwali in that level of intensity and level of beauty. And we just lived in Pakwatan for quite a few months there, just being in that and learning from the Qawwals, and basically experiencing that true like Qawwali Sama, where it was like very developed and very part of the culture.